Welcome everyone to another episode of What's Working in E-commerce. I'm your host, Egan Heath, the owner of Caravan Digital. We're a direct-to-consumer e-commerce marketing agency. And today I'm delighted because we have a very special guest. His name is Tim Keane. He's from Loop Club. They're a growth marketing agency for D2C brands, and they have grown at an unbelievable pace. And Tim is basically a genius as far as what I can tell. So Tim, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited about it.
Tell us a little bit about your agency and how you got into this.
Up until 2018, I had never had a full-time job in my life. I had done, a variety of hourly work. I had, taught some standardized tests. I'd worked in a movie theater, but I was mostly like in a touring band. That was what I did with most of my time. I was a drummer in a rock band. The problem with being a drummer in a rock band, it's fun. It sounds sexy. It was fun. I had a great time, but you will not make any money at all unless you are, Katy Perry. I can almost guarantee you that your favorite musicians are not making any money. And so that became difficult when I moved to LA from Montreal. In Montreal, you can live on $500 a month in rent. LA, you really can't do that. So I was like, I got to figure something out. Like, I have to learn some sort of skill. So I was, teaching myself in the back of the van, like going online, like trying to build little stores, like started freelancing a little bit, and then fell into an agency, had a great time there, learned a lot at Mute 6, very, very appreciative of them, and then left. And when the pandemic started, things just hit the fan. Like suddenly every e-commerce brand in the world was looking for that, experience. I just scaled a bunch of brands, and my colleagues had just scaled a bunch of brands, and just all of a sudden people were hitting us up. And I sent my first freelance invoice in April 2020. I didn't know anything. This is my first time, hearing the word net terms. And now it's 2 years later. We've done, I think, about 2.5 million in the last 2 years, and probably on track to do, 2.73 this year. And it's getting really crazy.
And that is just phenomenal growth for anyone who's running an agency or not running an agency. That's just unbelievable. So I want to be sure to ask you about that. I'm curious on the rock band background. Is there anything you brought from that you learned from that world that you've been able to bring into the marketing world?
Yeah, I think about this sometimes. I would say the most useful thing has been being used to being in relatively extreme conditions. Because in a band, you're waking up, it sounds glamorous, right? But you go to bed at 4, you wake up at 6 and get in a car. You're constantly flying around, you're in new cities all the time, you're meeting a lot of new people, and you have to be on and friendly and amenable and do your job regardless of the state that you're in. And to anyone who's run an agency, an early stage agency, it probably sounds very familiar, because the way I describe it is every mistake you make in an early stage agency, you either pay with time or with money. And most people who start early stage agencies don't have very much money because they're running service businesses. So you pay with your time. So every mistake you make is another hour you have to work, or another night you have to stay up, or another night you have to, wake up in the morning. And so being used to that kind of volume of work really did help me. And then just being used to crazy things happening, I think helped me a lot. Like unexpected things coming from left field, or things working or not working in ways you didn't expect. There's a lot of elements of, chance, a lot of things when you're building a business, a lot of things will go right that you didn't expect, and a lot of things will go wrong that you didn't expect. And I was used to that. I think that was very helpful.
One thing I'm curious is, obviously you guys are set up as a growth agency. I'm curious to ask you how you guys structure that, but part and parcel of that, I also want to ask you, how did you learn to do this, or to scale brands so quickly? So either one of those you want to tackle in either order, I'm dying to know.
Yeah, I'll start with how I learned to do it, and then that's going to back into how we structure the teams. So how I learned to do it was I was drop shipping. I'm going to figure something out. So I'd I'm good at learning pretty fast, I would say. I'm going to learn how to build a store. I'll throw some stuff up. I'll sell it. And I just drop ship a little bit. And, I didn't make a huge amount of money, but in doing that, you learn every channel. You learn every platform. You learn how to place a pixel. You learn all the, unit economics, how to manage people, how to, speak to people. And that got me, so far. It got me in the door. And then I came into Mute 6, which at the time I think was one of the fastest growing agencies. There's 600 of them now. When I was there was 80 people, and now there's, it's owned by Dentsu. There's 500, 600 people. And there, I was a Google Ads buyer. I think what really helped me, I mean, I had amazing mentors. I was very appreciative, and shout out to Elmar, who really showed me what to do. But then also, like, I didn't know anything. And I think that's a huge advantage. Like, I wasn't like, oh, okay, my job as a paid media manager is to do X and Y task all day. I was like, I got to scale these brands. Like, someone gave me an account. Like, I got to figure out how to do it. And so I would do stuff that a lot of other media managers wouldn't really do. Like, I was push into landing pages really hard. I would, write landing pages, convince the landing page team to like make one for me, like, build these weird little email capture funnels that like people weren't doing. YouTube ads, like I was pretty early to, the format of user generated content that you see everywhere now, like someone talking to the camera. Mid6 was very early to that, but I was really, bullish on that as well. And would, my clients didn't even necessarily have creative packages, but I would like go to an editor and like bribe them and like buy them a pizza if they would like make this edit for me, because I knew that like if they got this edit and this landing page and this thing dialed in, like I could get the whole funnel working. And I don't want to say I got lucky, but I got a couple of accounts where I was just like, I just pushed on enough levers and then just something like just absolutely worked. And like worked in like a sense of like, okay, they were making $100,000 last month and now they're making $700,000, or like, I was spending $1,000 on YouTube ads and then the next month they were spending $150,000, like that kind of working. And once you get that thrill, you're like, I can't optimize anymore, man. I can't find 10% growth. Like, I hate that. So, that's how I learned to do it. It's just like, once you have that feeling, you like know how to do it. So the fundamental thing that like the way you grow a brand is like, fixing the traffic source and then fixing the landing page site experience and then fixing the offer. Like there's really nothing else to it. And like the channel, the media mix, all of that is just like a, one lever. But it's really hard to build a team to do this. It's like actually really insanely hard. It took me so long. And I would say we've got it now, because what you have to do is it's actually a lot of people's jobs. It's a creative strategist, it's a copywriter, it's an account manager, it's a, media buyer. And most people don't, it's very unusual to do all those things together. And at an agency scale, it's not desirable either. So the way we have our team structured is the account manager, the person who talks to the client, the main point of contact for the client. They're a creative strategist. So their job is to, look at the competitors, look at what is working in the vertical, look at like the kinds of creative we've made and haven't made, and make a media plan around like, okay, this is what we want to, these are the angles we want to test. These are the hooks we want to test. These are the offers we want to test. And those people come from, creative backgrounds, from creative agency backgrounds, or they come from like, entrepreneurial backgrounds, business builders. And they don't necessarily run a channel. They're not like media buyers, but they ideate and they think of the ideas of what needs to happen. And that person has under them, first of all, like another creative strategist, and then a media buyer. The media buyer is responsible for like the technical account management, making sure that things actually get done, making sure that creative is iterated on and executed, and running the account. And the creative strategist is responsible for negotiating with our team of content creators and editors, getting stuff made, and making sure it looks good, making sure it's performing, and feeding all that back up to the overall account manager, who is like driving, who's DJing, who is like making sure that everything comes together. I really do think that's the only way to drive success in 2022. Like a lot of these people who are like media buyers, they don't have a competency around the things that move the needle, which is like making compelling creative, making a landing page that converts really well, and presenting an offer that is, high converting, that people want to buy.
So it sounds like that team, that like minimum size growth agencies, it sounds like 6 to 8 people at least with distinct skill sets.
Yeah. And it's been a problem for us, because we tried to have an individual, the people who started the agency, we were all kind of good at, that's how we scaled our accounts initially, by just like doing this thing automatically, just being growth marketers. But the problem is that it's difficult to execute effectively for smaller businesses, because like you said, like it's pretty resource intensive. And so, we're really finding our sweet spot now, which is, ideally a brand that's already, at some scale. If you already spending 80 to 100K on paid media, like we can make very, very immediate impact in your business. But if you're, a startup and you're like, oh, I just need to get something working, like we've discovered that we're usually a pretty bad fit for those businesses because they, in that case, you generally want a freelancer who can be kind of tenacious and change course a lot and just keep pushing at something until it works.
One of the things I'm hearing is that from end to end of like from the time the customer sees your ad to what's in that ad to what's on the landing page, what's the offer. You didn't say pricing, but I wonder if that enters into the offer, that whole conversion funnel. It sounds like every single piece of that for you to be able to drive results, you need to have control of that and be able to change all of that. Is that been your experience?
Yeah, I would say that is true. And I would say that is part of the sales process is like, if you want to work with us, like, we're going to drive, like, we're going to tell you what we think. And like, maybe you won't do it. Maybe there are hard limits on what you want to do. So you mentioned price. Price is interesting, but I would say value is the other thing that's interesting, right? Like you can do a discount, but you can also do a bundle, or you can also do a free offer. Or you can also, increment the value that you offer in some way without necessarily discounting. But some clients don't want to do that. Some clients are like, well, we're a premium product, or like, this is our aesthetic, or this is what it is. And like, we work within those parameters, but we're definitely not afraid to say like, you'd make a lot more money if you did this. And then it's on them.
And so by the time a good fit client comes to you, they're spending, I think you said 80 to 100,000 plus a month on ads. Is that correct?
Yeah, ideally. I mean, sometimes they spend less, but that's, we're a Shopify Plus partner. The perfect client for us is a $300,000 a month plus Shopify Plus e-commerce store that's scaled through Facebook ads.
I'm curious on that creative piece of, for example, right now at our agency, we're doing the ad buying. We're not handling the creative. We're often leaning toward the client for that. It sounds like that's really a tough model from what you've seen. It's better to be able to handle that creative in-house or handle that creative as the agency and do it for the client. Do you think that part is crucial?
Well, I don't care who does it, but I want it to be good and fast. And what we were finding is that, things are actually changing now. I think it's easier than ever to get higher quality creative faster. But when we were building this agency, like there were a lot of expensive creative agencies that our clients didn't want to pay for. I'd have to go through their sales process. I'd have to get this stuff made. And it was just like, no, I need this yesterday. So like, let's build this process for ourselves. And leaning on the client to offer the creative, I completely understand it because it's very resource intensive. It's a whole other skill set. But does the client always know what they need? I would say no, not necessarily.
And we can get into creative. I'm very curious about it. Are these often Instagram story style, vertical videos? Or are they more slickly produced videos? What kinds of things do you see working in creative?
Yeah. So what I think is happening right now is I actually think there's a little bit of a return to the, call it Facebook 2015 style aesthetic, which is like bigger, bolder, text on screen, like uglier. Ugly's always worked, but like I think it's coming back even more now. Like CPMs are rising, click-through rates are declining. Like you need to grab people's attention. That's the first thing. So like, those ads with like big ugly bars on the top, and like, big text on the image and like a face really up close or like a gross out thing. Dr. Squatch does this incredibly well. That's working. Our bread and butter is, think of TikTok as the source of any trend, the source of any aesthetic, any digital aesthetic. So TikTok is where you want to make something that looks like a TikTok, and then you trickle that out into Facebook. So you'll make these 9x16 story ads, but you make them so they can be used as they can be reused in the feed. So you try to like get the captions to fit within the 4x5, radius. You cut them up and you use them all over the place. But I would say like if you start by thinking about, okay, what's working on TikTok and why, that's going to take you 50, 60% of the way to having a good creative strategy.
Wow. So you're testing creative often on TikTok. When you find winners, then you're incorporating that with Facebook and Instagram ads?
I kind of don't care where I test. I'll make what looks like a TikTok creative. I'll test it in both places. Like you'll be surprised. Like what works is not always very clear. You don't know. I'm constantly surprised by what actually works and what doesn't work. So, I'll test whatever.
Going back to the question of how you learn, part of what I heard there was lots and lots of testing, lots of iteration.
Yeah, you got to be willing to waste a lot of money, both your own and your client's money. Like you have to lose a lot in order to succeed. I would say what I learned at Mute 6, actually, one of the things that I first learned was like, there's not as much A/B testing here as I would have expected. And what I understood was like, well, it's because you just start from a pretty good baseline. Like you just like make your A version like good. And then the B, like an A/B test is to find 10%, 10% efficiency. But if you're looking for like a big delta, it's replacing something bad with something good. But it's like, how do you learn what's good? And that's what takes just like being in the industry for a while and kind of soaking yourself in it and like just getting to know the aesthetic and like you build this like spidey sense for a good ad. I remember my boss sitting me down and like watching an ad with him over his shoulder because he has a very intuitive sense of what a good ad is, and like the way that he would do it was like you kind of watch it and you like notice yourself whether you're like getting bored or whether your thoughts deviate from the ad at all. And like that's the moment you want to add a cut. That's the moment that you want to like change things up. It's probably too long there's something wrong, because you really need to be controlling that experience all the way from start to finish.
That piece, like, was there anything else you did to learn that, or that's managing a lot of accounts, seeing a lot of ads, really in terms of learning what works? It sounds like you're watching your own reaction. Was there any other way that you found to learn what's good creative?
I gotta give a shout out to this guy Moody. He's I think the chief strategy officer of Mute 6. There was this video that I remember watching when I first onboarded called Ads That Scale. And obviously all the examples are very outdated now, but they were all ads that they'd made at Mute 6. And he was just walking you through like, okay, this is how an ad actually works. And I'd never thought about this industry before. Until 2018, I had ad blocker on. Like I'd never even seen an ad. I don't watch TV. Like I don't know anything about this stuff. So I approached it very very curiously from the outside. And it's just a 1-hour presentation and he just walks you through what a good ad is. And I've come back and I've watched this video again like every year and I'm like, he's still right. Like my conception of it has changed a lot. My deep level of understanding of it has changed and my intuition around it has changed a lot. But everybody says is right. It's like, it's as simple as like, you can never get too close up. I've never ever seen an ad in my life that is too zoomed in, ever. Yeah, absolutely. Because people are watching this thing on their phones, like they're scrolling. Like if you want to show a product, show it as close as you can. If you want to show a face, show it as close as you can. And then you want to like move, just get closer, show the actual thing, show the utility, and then demonstrate the product. People don't want to see just like something hanging out. Like show it going on. You want to see the fibers of the sock. You want to see the how it works. And if you look at these ads, like if you look at a drop shipping ad that's scaling, you look at any of these like direct response creative that's really racking up a lot of views, it's always demonstrating. It's always like shocking. It's always stopping the scroll very, very aggressively. So the hook, the first 1 second is the most important piece. It's always very, very aggressive about getting your attention. And then it shows you things in a very clear and simple way. That's really it.
Wow, that's great. We're going to look at some creative here. Before we do that, I just want to ask you, you mentioned a piece about that account manager is also kind of driving the creative and they're looking at what's working in the space. Any, tools for that or tricks on that are you looking at the other competitors' ad libraries? How are you determining what's working for other brands?
Yeah. You just have to be kind of on about it all the time. So yes, the first thing you'll do is, I can share this. This is another thing that would be cool to share. So we look at ad libraries all the time. So the TikTok ad library is amazing because you can sort it by spend. You can sort it by reach and frequency, which is, a good like indicator for spend. And then you can also obviously search the Facebook ads library. We're all in private Slack channels with a bunch of other agency owners, just all like sharing stuff all day. And then actually, let me share my screen. I'll show you this. We use this tool. Oh, he's gonna love it when this goes live. We use this tool called Addison. which is one of the guys who works at Triple Whale. He uses this, and he built this. And so what we do is we build a board for each client. And so you can save ads from the Facebook and the TikTok ads libraries with one click. So we have a whole team logged into this. So every person on the team, from me all the way down, every single person has access to this entire account. So whenever we get a new client, we build them a board. We go through all their competitors, we find all of their good ads, and we stock them all up here and look like Pet Lab. These guys are amazing. This is such a good advertiser. Dog parents must hear this. This to this. This, I'm seeing a lot of people do this content recently, because this is a hook, right? Like this, if someone says like this thing, like all of a sudden you need to find out what the thing is. 90% of dog parents numbers are amazing. They're testing these split screens. So you get a sense of like, okay, what are these advertisers testing repeatedly? Like they're making all these split screen videos with something at the top and something at the bottom and a strong hook here. Response to questions, that feeling when you find something, so every single client has one of these, both TikTok and Facebook ads from the niche. And then, we have internal ones where we store stuff as well.
Do you know they're good ads because they work on you and they grab your attention? Or is there some way that the competitor has been running this for a long time and you assume it's, highly profitable for them?
There are spy tools you can use, but look, this is crazy how my pup went from this to this. This is massive text. I bet you if I start this, what's the first? Okay, so it's a zoom in straight away. There's a this. I don't know what this is. I definitely don't know what this is. I don't know if you can hear it right now, but it's like
curiosity. Yeah.
Emotional music. There's a narrative story over the top. Like I feel just like obligated to watch this thing. And so like it's more about like we know what the aesthetic is of a good ad. We know how they work. And so like I don't need to see the metrics to know that this stuff is working. Like I know that this brand is smart. I know why they've written this. I know what they're testing. Like you got everything you need. Like these just look how grabby this is. Like you want to like I can't even scroll through this without wanting to watch it. Like it makes me crazy and like show it to me. And so you just like train that like lizard brain part of you that's like show me the dog, and you like assess in your mind how that part of your brain responds to like seeing these images.
You talked about the importance of you're in Slack channels with other agency owners and things. Tell us a little bit about that piece of you're kind of finding out real time what's working in the wild from other practitioners, right?
All right, I get to give another shout out to someone who is going to hit me up and be like, yo man, so there's this one group that I'm in that's really crazy. If you're an agency owner, you should probably pay for this. It's called the Foxwell Founders Group. So
oh yes, we're in that one.
Oh, you're in that?
Yep. I've got a Google Ads course in there too.
That's cool. Yeah, we've gotten so much out of this. It's just awesome. Like I really like Andrew. He's really great. I've met a bunch of cool people in there, and like all these advertisers are like, Cody's really smart. Jake has got some crazy ideas that I love to hear about, and like everyone's just like in there just chatting all the time. I put my senior media buyers in there, so once you become a senior you get an invite, and we're all just just chatting it up all day, and you get pretty good. Like everyone's spending a lot, everyone's serious. The questions that are getting asked are like good questions, and the responses are like insanely thoughtful and helpful.
Tim, I've never asked anyone this, but in this time that you've been running this agency and growing at such a rate, like, can I ask, what does that take? Like, how many hours are you working? How many hours is your team working?
My team, for the most part, are working pretty reasonable hours. I would say there's two people who are both kind of in it with me at this point. Like there's Ben and Steph, who are both. Steph is an equity owner of the UGC part of the company. Ben is very likely to become an equity owner of at least the landing page part of the company. They, it's the same as me. Like you don't get to turn off. For my employees, like, I like to think that they work reasonable hours. I'm trying to get them to protect their time because I don't want anyone to burn out. Like I don't want to lose anyone to burn out. I would say like the newer people that have gotten are really good at protecting their time. I'm trying to force them to do that as well. And as we grow, as we're a little more profitable, as things get a little bit easier, like I'm more able to, as the client quality increases too, I'm more able to protect my team's time. So I like to think that my team works regular hours, and I'd rather overstaff and have people work, a more reasonable amount than understaff. For me, it's ruined my life, man. Like, it's like, I don't think I would necessarily, I don't know, maybe in a year I'll be like, yeah, this was totally worth it. The first year I'm not even sure that I touched my toes. Like, it was like, I don't think I went outside. I ordered meals. It has been crazy. I would not ever do anything like this ever again. It's taught me a lot about my own personal, everything I've done in my life, I've, found a singular focus. I feel like founders are a lot of the time like this. It's very hard for me to do something and half do it. So every time I've done something in my life, I've just kind of focused on it. And I did that with this. And because it's a company, there's no limit to the amount that you can do that. And yeah, there were days, I don't do this anymore, but there were days in the first year where it would be like, okay, I work from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., take a half-hour nap, work from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then go to sleep and then do that again. I would not do this again like that. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances. I think your first business, you make more mistakes than you would. We didn't even intend to start a business. We were just we'll do some freelancing. Ha ha ha. We'll see what happens. And then it just hits you in the face. And the mistakes you make are all of your blind spots out of the gate. It's all the things you don't know about yourself that all of a sudden ripple through an organization as you build and manage an organization for the first time. So you make a lot of mistakes. The mistakes cost you money. The mistakes cost you time. And then it's just oh God, it's so much work. But it's getting a lot better now. And I'm taking a vacation next month, and I'm pretty confident that the team has got it. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, thank you for talking about that. That's really helpful. Do you have time to show us some of the creative we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, let's do it. So we may have to pretend the sound is working and then splice that in later. But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a few things. I'm going to try to pull all of this up just so it doesn't blow my screen. I've got 4 ads. Each of them is 30 seconds. They all kind of do different things. So I've got 4 ads for 4 different products, and I can show you, why they work, what is good about them. So what I would pay attention to here is what happens in the first second, what happens as the ad progresses, and then, what happens at the end. This first one is a new collaboration for us. It's a creative agency that called 10x ROAS that I've really enjoyed working with so far. They make really good stuff, and we're going to really deepen this partnership. So this is a good example of, I would say, a semi-produced UGC ad. It's still, user-generated content, but it looks pretty slick. It does everything a good ad should do.
To all my fellow adventurers out there, you need to ditch your boring socks for Fitz socks. And here's why. These socks are perfect for any outdoor activity. Whether it's for hiking, running, skiing, or cycling, there's a perfect pair of Fit socks. Each sock is designed with their full contact fit system and smart cushioning, so you have extra protection in the toes, arch, and heels. They're also made from the best quality merino wool, which keeps germs and odor away. They come in different heights and sizes, from the smallest invisible socks to OTC. And the best part? The quality of these socks is so high that it comes with a 2-year warranty. Get your first pair for your next adventure at fitsocks.com.
I think it's really good. What I like about it is, TikTok is a niche finding machine, right? So you want the first second to speak to a subgroup of people who you want to care about the product. So the first line is to all my fellow adventurers. So you're hoping, the hope is that this gets on the For You page of people who are, in that niche. Then walks you through you see how close it is, how high def it is on her face. You can see the product in action. It's kind of a little bit aspirational, a little bit lifestyle-y. The text on screen is very native looking, it's big and bold and easy to read, but it looks like what you'd make in the app, even though it's probably edited. You can see the socks up close. You can see the fibers, the fabric of the socks. Here again, you get them up close. Again, up close. You can imagine yourself, you can see this texture and imagine yourself, not consciously, but subconsciously imagine yourself, using this product. Shows you the options, walks you through everything. We've been finding scrolling through the website to work really well. It does a psychological thing where by the time you hit the website, you are like, oh, I've been on this website before. And then your brain kind of does the thing. This is a slightly different one to what we normally do. This is walking you through the guarantee. So that's interesting. But you see an objection buster. And then a call to action. This is a pretty aggressive call to action. But that makes sense, I think, for this ad because it's more ad-like than your average piece of UGC. Like, but, you know, a viewer is aware this is an ad, but that we don't care at this point.
Yeah.
So I like this piece of creative. I was very pleased to get it from him. I'll show you a couple more that are just a little bit different.
Will you guys run that one then, even in the feed?
Oh yeah, I'll run this everywhere.
Okay.
I'll run this
everywhere.
on. I don't care at all. So the feed will be 4x5, right? So if you look, probably if they did their job right, like look where this text shows up, right? Like it all is actually
It'll hit right
sitting
in the
kind
middle.
of sitting in the middle. So you can probably crop like here and get 80 to 90% of it. I'll run it. I'll run anything anywhere. I don't care at all.
Wow. Okay. I was going to ask about the UGC thing of maybe I'm old school and I'm still thinking like that's an actual customer on there talking about it. I understand sometimes people, you know, pretend to be customers and play that, but this one to me, like it was, like you said, it was native looking, but it was also, I wasn't ever in doubt that like a normal TikToker just made this on their own. You know what I mean?
Oh, you thought this was a normal TikToker?
No, I did not, but that's in my mind. That's what UGC is. But you're saying the line's a little more blurred. It's okay to make it look like an ad as long as it looks native too.
Well, that was what I was going to show. I was going to show you one that is a little more like UGC looking. I think this is such an interesting conversation that's going. This is a big topic of conversation right now because you will make these ads that look perfectly native and you'll be like, aha, I made a great ad because the ad is native, because it looks exactly like a customer you'd never know, but it doesn't always work. And a lot of the time, like it'll get beaten by these ads, which are like very clearly fake, like very clearly like not a real customer, but like they do all the things an ad should do. And we've just been watching like our most meticulously crafted, like, oh, you'd never tell it was UGC ads just get schooled left and right by like good quality, vaguely UGC creative. And, you know, the way I think about it is like this country is, you know, completely saturated with advertising. Like everyone is always aware that they're being advertised to. It's constant. Every single action you take is advertising. Like it's not so much about hiding it and tricking people into feeling like it's an ad, not an ad. It's about the video needs to, that's two things really. The video needs to give genuine value. It needs to be actually useful to someone. So it can't just be like, blah, 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 this product. Like it needs to like show you something you didn't know before, like make it funny or engaging or have someone, you know, fun to look at. Yeah, it just needs to do something. By the end of the ad, you need to have been transformed in some way, whatever it is, whether you laugh, whether you learn something, whether you look at something that you like looking at, like there's a two-way exchange of value. And then once you do that, no one cares who made it. No one cares if it's an ad or not. Like people just want to, you know, ingest the content. And that's been a really, you know, we've kind of gone both ways with this. And there's a big movement. There's a lot of UGC creators coming into the space, like literally thousands and thousands of people who are, you know, now doing this professionally or trying to do this professionally for brands. And what we're finding is that the winners are the extroverts. It's the people who can do this like ad style enthusiasm, as opposed to people who are like necessarily specifically, you know, quote unquote native to the platform. But this one is like, so here's another ad for the same product. So I can show you this one. I think it's a little bit more native looking. I think it's the same product. Might be a different sock brand.
I just found the best adventure socks that are both cute and comfortable.
Socks are made of merino wool, so they keep my feet so warm.
They are so comfortable and so versatile. Whether I'm walking on the slack line, hiking near a waterfall, or if I'm on a long road trip, I will literally never buy a different brand of socks.
So that one's interesting, right? You don't mention the name of the product. It looks a little more native. The hook is, you know, still a little bit ad looking, but there's more outdoor shots. There's more lifestyle shots. So, you know, these are hypotheses, right? Like each ad that you make is a hypothesis about like whether you think it's going to work or not. And I will tell you, like, it's hard to predict. It's pretty hard to know what's going to work. I do think I have a bias towards like big, loud in your face because I've seen that really perform recently. But I will, get a lot of content from a lot of creators, like a lot of content from a lot of creators.
One thing that strikes me about what you said about they don't even tell you the name of the sock. That's kind of old school direct response marketing. If you may not even have your logo in there, you've got to do the call to action to even find out what's next. So there's curiosity built in of like, what is this sock? I'm going to check it out on the site.
Oh yeah. I think that, we're direct response marketers. Like that's, I'm a direct response marketer. All I want you to do is do the thing I want you to do. I don't care. I think the presence of branding, especially on TikTok, like really, people are very suspicious of branding on TikTok.
Thank you for showing that. And thank you for talking through that.
Do you want to see some more, or is that enough?
Please, yeah, I got to see the dog one. I'm dying for this one.
There's two, which we got two dog. So this guy is actually, let's do this guy. This one, because this is a very classical TikTok hook. You'll enjoy it. This is like one of the big hooks from the channel.
Stuff I found on the internet I no longer can live without. I saw a bunch of people sharing these power chewer dog toys on the internet, and I just had to get one for my dog. He's always going through tons of toys, and we can never find one he can't ruin in the first day until we discovered Bully Make. On their site, you can pick out which box works best for you. We chose Toys and Treats. It has everything my dog needs and more. It's 100% customizable with top quality FDA approved materials. Get one for you and your pup at bullymake.com.
So I would say like what's special, what I like about this one is, the hook is stuff I found on the internet I can't live without. That was a big hook on TikTok a few months ago. People were like, TikTok made me buy this, like this, went viral. And then I really like you, when you splice this in, you'll be able to see like the voiceover is a personal narrative. Like I was having problems with blank and then I did blank. It's a very, very, very personal channel. And so you really want to, a lot of the time you really want to reframe if you're used to writing your ads in a like, here is what Bully Make does. You really want to reframe it as like, I did Bully Make and here was my experience. And that's much more persuasive on this channel.
Sort of a story brand hero's journey a little bit.
Absolutely. I guess there's one more if you want the fourth one.
Please, I love this product too, so I'm excited about this.
So you guys need to know about this beer alternative that I just discovered. I don't know about you, but it's a struggle to not drink alcohol sometimes. I like having variety, and hop water has been my saving grace. They have 3 different flavors, and they are so good. And as a bonus, they have 0 calories, 0 sugar, and only 1 carb. I feel so much better since making the switch to hop water. You guys have to try it out.
I like this one too. What I like about it is it's a pretty soft CTA. Like I feel so much better since I made the switch. You guys have to try it out. I really like these shots here. It took us a while to get footage of the liquid, and I was just constantly like, give me the liquid. And I heard you say something during this because this is what makes people buy, right? This is exactly, Coca-Cola.
I want to drink that right now. Yeah.
Exactly. And there was this was actually one of the first things we did when we picked up this account, which was like, give us more liquid. What's in the can? Show me what's in the can, because you need the person to go through that psychological journey from like, okay, so I drank it, so I opened it, so what's it look like? Like you need them to have a confidence in like every step of the thing. It does look really good. This shot I love.
I'm getting thirsty watching this. This is amazing.
I know, right? I know. And this was another thing, like I guess it's probably not in the conversation as much anymore, but this was during the pandemic, like we're all drinking a lot. Everyone was drinking a lot. And that was when this product like really, really started spiking. There's a lot of really good shots in here. I really like this ad.
This is great. Tim, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for showing these. Tell us a little bit about, I've got to have you back on. I can tell, like, I hope you'll join us again and share more. Tell us a little bit about who's a good fit for you guys and where they can find you.
So there's actually 2 kinds of clients that are a good fit for us now. For the full agency, for Loop Club, we need, I don't need you to be on Shopify Plus, but you need to be a business. Like you have an agency, you hate them, they haven't done anything for you in a couple of years, like performance is declining, like we can fix that very quickly. You're already spending a bunch of money and you need a better agency. Talk to me about that. The other piece is if you are looking for creators to make TikTok ads, or you're trying to launch the channel for the first time, or you need to be instructed on, how to make a good TikTok ad, we're much more flexible with our entry requirements on that channel because there are ways in which we can do it hands off. We can teach you to do it. We have platforms. We can, show you how to do that work. So either of those groups of people would be super interested in talking to, and it's loop.club. or you can find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/Tim-Keen.
Tim, I'm so impressed with what you've built. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. Thank you for coming on and sharing what's working in e-commerce.
Thanks for having me.